All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back.
Jeremy, get your ass out of my chair. Get out of here, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize for that. That is my roommate, Jeremy, coming in to have a good time. We're all having a good time here, but we will be back to the scheduled programming of today's Yapathon. And this one is going alongside the newsletter that I just wrote, where today I started my day very, very late compared to what I typically do, which is at like 7:30 in the morning, sometimes 6:30 if I've been a real good boy. And I woke up at 11:30 instead of 7:30, and I was in a state of dissatisfaction. I was upset that I was waking up so late, and I missed my standard morning that I like to have, where I take time to write. It's a Sunday. I read quite a lot on these days as well, and have it be much more of a leisure day, and I get the things accomplished in that chunk of morning that I typically don't always have time for later in the day. And I ended up waking up late on the account of two things. Yesterday, I was back in the gym and I was exercising for the first time in a long time. And so I pushed it hard. I did two different workouts, 2 leg workouts. So I was really pushing it. And then, even more so, I went to go see my friend at his first boxing match here in Bali, and it ended up being quite late in the evening at 11:30 at night, and then finishing at like 12:30 or whatever. And I ended up getting back and going to bed at 1 a.m. And I woke up and I was fucking mad. I was angry. I was like, why, I'm starting my day late, blah, 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 blah. And then it wasn't until I sat down and started writing my handy dandy notebook, which is the best place for any thought, that I realized, hang on a second, like objectively, I was taking the actions that I would want to do on any other day that would mean I was living the life of the man who I want to be. I was caring for my body, and I was giving myself a break mentally to go and exercise. And then I was there for someone who I cared about, someone who had been there for me in the past, and I was supporting him in this really cool thing. But because I changed my norm just slightly by just getting some extra rest because my body asked for it. It knocked on my door and said, give me some rest. And instead of just having the standard day that I always have, it was just a slight inconvenience. And then my whole rest of the day was going to have a sliver of dissatisfaction and being upset. And it made me think about kind of the overall experience of what Bali typically is when you're here for a long period of time. When you are in Bali for 6 weeks, you start to become very dissatisfied with the things around you. And the luxuries that you once wished for, the life that I once dreamed of, now become things that irritate me. Like a slight inconvenience of a massage parlor being booked for another 30 minutes instead of having it in its immediacy is now something that pisses me off or gets me irritated, and other things in a similar nature like that. And it makes me reflect on how we always think and we always opt for wanting to have as much comfort and safety that we can have, when in reality that often brings about more dissatisfaction and maybe more inability to be grateful for the things at hand. When in reality what the soul and what the person is looking for, the individual is looking for, is something to battle up against. And when you're here in a very, very comfortable, easily convenient place like Bali, and I think this is representative for other realms of success that people get to, is you end up finding so much comfort in your world that you start to make up challenge in places where you would never need it in the first place. So everything has become so easy here. And I realize that this is kind of a ridiculous thing to say, but I think it's a very real thing that many people experience outside of just this certain place. And that a lot of the Western world, we found ourselves in so much comfort that we end up complaining about really dumb shit. We end up over-identifying with certain things that cause discomfort in our lives when the rest of the world doesn't go in accordance to what it is that how we interpret the world. And then again, it ends up making much more of a dissatisfaction than really what matters. And so I think it all is a really huge distraction. when we get into this state of so much comfort that it's a distraction from the questions that are more important to be answering, and ones that I've been sitting with and working on sitting with even more and more and more, which is what is worthy of my time, what is worthy of my energy, of me being here. There's a really incredible author that I like, James Hollis, that talks about the question, what is the soul want expressed through me? And so taking a moment to think about what is the piece of art, or what is the goodness that you would want to enact on the world and the community around you, and really spending time on those questions rather than being upset and finding your meaning in the conflict of not having your iced latte have almond milk, for God's sake. I think that is probably more common of a thing that people get mad at in the US than we'd like to give credit for. And so kind of just a reflection on ways to live life better, and a way to live your life better is that if you want to find continual purpose, it's in choosing your battle, or choosing the conflict that you're going up against, and making sure that it's something that you would believe is worthy of your time from an objective standpoint, and not getting lost in the trivial things of getting upset at the news that comes on your phone, or getting upset with if someone challenges an idea of yours. You get angry at that because you feel that it's an attack on you as a person. Don't over-identify with certain things, because that itself becomes a distraction. But think about the people whom you are inspirations to you, and then how you would like to do that for other people. And often that looks like finding something beautiful to express within the world, whether it be writing, whether it be an instrument that you can play, or a piece of art that you can craft with your hands. And so just a little food for thought. Take a moment to think about what you want to bring into this world, and see where it is that you get upset over the small inconveniences in this life that are in all ways pretty freaking ridiculous. So have a little fun today. Be grateful for the things around you. These are all messages that I'm really just saying to myself as a reminder. Write. Had a fun little 5-page writing session with this thing. And yeah, make the world a better place. See you guys.